Yeah, it's a word that gets thrown around a lot,
Yeah.
but it's often misunderstood.
Right.
People confuse actions with strategy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like saying our strategy is to increase the R&D budget.
Yeah.
That's not a strategy, that's just stating an action.
Yeah.
It's not the overall game plan.
Exactly. Like our source material points out, just saying our strategy is to internationalize. That's more about what you're doing, not the why behind it.
Right.
Like, okay, we're going to internationalize, but why are we doing that?
Yeah. That why is where true strategy really comes in, you know? At its core, any successful strategy really comes down to two fundamental questions.
Okay, lay them on me.
Where to compete
Okay.
and how to compete.
Where to compete and how to compete.
Answering these questions lays the foundation for everything else.
Okay, so let's break those down. Where to compete sounds like choosing your battleground.
Exactly.
Right.
Where to compete is all about corporate level strategy.
Okay.
It's about determining the industries and markets a company chooses to play in. Take General Electric GE, for example.
All right.
They've historically operated across a wide range of segments like aviation and energy.
Right.
That's a very different where compared to Walmart, which focuses solely on retail.
So GE is spreading its bets. Walmart's all in on one sector.
Exactly. And even within the same industry, companies can have very different where to compete strategies.
Okay.
Think about Netflix and Disney.
Okay.
Netflix started with streaming but expanded into content creation, directly competing with traditional studios.
Right.
Disney, however, entered the streaming arena with Disney Plus leveraging its extensive content library.
So they're both in entertainment, but taking very different approaches to their where.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So once you figure out where to compete, how do you actually win in those chosen markets?
That's where the how to compete question comes in.
Okay.
Or business level strategy.
Okay.
It's about choosing a specific approach to gain a competitive edge within your chosen market. And again, our source material provides some great examples.
Give me the examples. I'm all ears.
Let's stick with Walmart for a second.
Okay.
Their how is all about cost leadership.
Oh.
They offer the lowest prices
Right.
and maximize efficiency, becoming the go-to for budget-conscious shoppers.
Right.
On the other hand, Nordstrom, another retailer, differentiates itself through high-end appeal, exceptional customer service, and a carefully curated product selection.
So it's not just about being in the same industry. It's about carving out your unique space within that industry.
Exactly.
And I bet our source material has another example.
You bet.
Hit me with it.
Think about Home Depot.
Yeah.
They've nailed a focus strategy by specializing in the home improvement market.
Right.
This allows them to cater to a specific customer base and become experts in that niche.
Okay, these examples are really helpful.
Yeah.
So to recap, where to compete is the big picture corporate level decision about which industries and markets to focus on, while how to compete is the business level strategy.
Right.
The specific approach you take to win within those chosen markets.
Precisely.
But it's important to note that these decisions aren't static.
Right.
Companies need to adapt and evolve their strategies over time.
Absolutely.
Look at GE. Again, they recently went through a massive restructuring, selling off a big chunk of their business, GE Capital. That was a significant shift in their where to compete.
Absolutely. Huge shift.
I remember that it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's like they decided to completely redraw their battleground.
Exactly.
And then there's Apple.
Yes.
Remember when they dropped computer from their name back in 2007?
Oh, yeah.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big statement, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
What were they saying with that?
That simple name change signaled a huge shift in their strategic direction. It was like saying, hey, we're not just about computers anymore, we're a broader technology company.
Yeah.
It paved the way for the iPhone, the iPad, and everything else they've become known for.
So even seemingly small changes can reflect major strategic shifts.
Yeah, it's about signaling your intentions.
Right.
Defining your scope and
Yeah.
adapting to the changing technological landscape.
Right.
That's where Henry Mintzberg's work comes in.
Okay.
He's this renowned management thinker who categorized different types of strategies: intended, deliberate, unrealized, emergent, and realized.
Okay.
It's a brilliant framework for understanding how strategies actually unfold in the messy reality of the business world.
Okay, I'm ready to unpack this. What's an intended strategy?
It's basically the initial plan
Okay.
The vision that top management sets out,
Okay.
it's what they hope to achieve.
Okay.
Let's say a company intends to cut costs to improve efficiency and also wants to expand internationally to tap into new markets.
Right.
Those are their intended strategies.
Got it. So the intended strategy is the starting point, the aspiration,
Yeah,
but then reality sets in.
exactly. Let's say they successfully implement those cost-cutting measures.
Okay.
That part becomes their deliberate strategy,
Yeah.
the intended actions that are actually put into place and work as planned.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
But what about that international expansion?
Well, maybe they hit some snags.
Oh,
Unforeseen geopolitical challenges arise, or they simply lack the resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
That part becomes their unrealized strategy.
Yeah.
The intentions that, for whatever reason, don't come to fruition.
the best laid plans
Exactly.
go awry.
But I'm guessing this company doesn't just throw in the towel.
Right.
They have to adapt somehow.
Yeah, we got to adapt.
And that's where emergent strategy comes in.
Okay.
Let's say this company starts facing pressure to adopt more environmentally friendly production practices.
Okay.
Consumers are demanding it, competitors are doing it. Maybe there are new regulations coming down the pipeline.
So they weren't initially planning on going green, but the market's pushing them in that direction?
Exactly. And in response, they shift gears and implement more sustainable production processes.
Okay.
This wasn't part of their original plan,
Right.
but it emerges as a necessary strategy to stay competitive and relevant.
It sounds like necessity is the mother of invention.
You could say that.
So what does their final realized strategy look like after all this?
Their realized strategy ends up being a combination of what they deliberately achieved with the cost cutting and the unplanned but necessary shift towards environmentally friendly practices. It's a blend of intention and adaptation, a testament to the dynamic nature of strategy.
This makes so much sense. It's a constant dance between sticking to the plan and adapting to the unexpected.
Absolutely. Our source material also touches on this idea of stakeholders and their influence on strategy.
Okay.
A company isn't just responsible to its shareholders.
Right.
It has to consider the interests of its employees, suppliers, customers, the community, and even the government.
So it's like this complex web of relationships. And a company has to navigate those relationships carefully.
Absolutely.
But doesn't that make strategic decision-making even more challenging?
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to balance the needs of all those different stakeholders.
It can be a real balancing act.
Right.
And that's where the role of top management becomes crucial. And this idea of internal and external alignment is central to the concept of strategic fit.
Yes.
Remember, we touched on that earlier.
You mentioned that a successful strategy requires a good fit between a company's internal environment, its resources and capabilities, and the external environment, the industry conditions and competitive landscape.
Right, you can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if it doesn't align with the realities of the marketplace
Right.
or your own internal strengths and weaknesses, it's likely to fail.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. I think the most important takeaway is that strategy is about making choices.
Allocating resources wisely and constantly adapting to the ever-changing world of business.
I love that. It's not a static plan,
No,
but an ongoing process of evolution and adaptation.
absolutely.